Welcome to the 10K Creator, a podcast with me, Darren Smith from Craftsman Creative, and your own Joe Polizzi, where we document and break down how I and other content entrepreneurs can get to 10,000 email subscribers and $10,000 per month in revenue. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the 10K Creator podcast/show. This is another guest expert episode. So I'm so excited today to be chatting with Daphne Gomez. Daphne and I actually met at the Creator Economy Expo back in May of this year. We sat next to each other at a very cool dinner that Justin Moore and Jay Klaus put together. And it was awesome. And so when Joe told me that we were going to be connecting, I was just like, oh yeah, I get to talk to Daphne again. So Daphne, first of all, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Why don't you let the audience know who you are, what you do, who you serve, etc., and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, so my name's Daphne Gomez. I am a former teacher. I left the classroom back in 2017, and I started working for some pretty well-known ed tech companies, Fortune 500 companies, and like a professional development sense, speaking at national conferences, and also doing what's called instructional design, which is just like corporate lingo for I was a course creator. During that time, I struggled with my own career transition for a variety of reasons. And I also, heard from so many colleagues that really just had no idea that there were other opportunities for them and wanted to explore job potentials outside of the classroom. It's a really strange phenomenon with teachers as they go into it as a forever career where many other kinds of careers are, you can change departments. And so what you're seeing is teachers who are understanding that they have career options are looking for that, especially in the last few years. And I created a business based on helping teachers who are looking for opportunities to make a pivot, to find roles where they can leverage their education experience and still do something that they're passionate about and teach people in other ways, or work for mission-based businesses. And so my company is Teacher Career Coach. I started creating digital courses and resources, podcast. Back in 2019 is when we officially launched. And I had teamed up with human resources experts, recruiters, CEOs of other companies to really create this system that didn't exist. And with all of my research and work and dedication, I am now full-time in that business, went full-time in 2022 or 2021. And I've built an audience of over 100,000 on Instagram, 90,000 on an email list, and one of the top podcasts on Apple and education.
Okay. Well, now it's very clear why Joe put your name up as one of the very first people that we needed to reach out to and have this conversation. So I'm very, very excited. It seems like there's a lot of overlap with some of the stuff that I'm trying to do with Craftsman Creative as far as educating creators, as far as partnerships, email list growth, social media list growth. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to be exciting. So we're just going to dive right in. I would love to start with, if you have any questions for clarity's sake or for context about the business that I'm building, Craftsman Creative, and the content entrepreneur journey that I'm on, trying to get to 10,000 email list subscribers and $10,000 a month in revenue. We can start there with any questions you have, but I'm really excited to learn from you. I hope the audience is as well. Hey there, we will get right back to the show after a few quick words about our incredible sponsors.
Watch your first YouTube video. Read your first blog post. Find your first newsletter. Listen to your first podcast episode. Now, compare it to your most recent piece of content. It's night and day, isn't it? That's how much your content has grown, how much you've grown. If you're like most creators, your email marketing platform reminds you of that first creative effort. It has not kept up. You need a fresh start. Get that fresh start with ConvertKit. StreamYard is the easiest way to create content right in your browser. You can multi-stream to your social media platforms, host a weekly show with special guests, create webinars, record podcasts, create videos, and more. And they make it easy to brand and customize your videos inside the studio before you even go live. StreamYard's a popular tool amongst live streamers, video creators, YouTubers, and podcasters. StreamYard makes it simple to get professional and polished content every time. Get started now for free at StreamYard.com. Whether you have an established following or you're just starting out, books are an easy way to build credibility, diversify your revenue streams, and connect with your community. And just like Darren, you can use Lulu's free platform to turn your best performing content into a beautiful book to benefit your creative endeavors. With their e-commerce plugins, growing your audience and selling your work directly has never been easier. Create an account today to publish, print, and prosper at lulu.com, Lulu.com.
My first question is just, what are your current strategies for lead generation for your email list?
Yeah, you've caught me. So I have strategies, and they're constantly being rethought, and that's probably part of the problem. So currently, the way that I have people coming onto my email list, I have a Twitter that I'm focusing on as the social media platform of choice. That is something where I'm actively participating and putting out content on there and driving people back to the website. So I'll post a blog as a thread. I'll post resources with links back to the blog. And on every blog page, there's a subscribe here or sign up for the email list or get this free guide. So based on Joe's feedback and advice, I've been working on new lead magnets to add to every page, etc. So that is, like, if you look at the top 3 ways that people come to my site: Twitter, and then organic from Google, and then it's kind of a tie between some of the active, like, sponsorships or newsletter swaps or things like that. So I've had some decent success this year, like advertising my newsletter in other people's newsletters who have the same audience that I'm trying to build. And they'll send over 30, 50, 100, at times, new email subscribers when I advertise or we do a newsletter swap or they talk about me in their newsletter. So Twitter and newsletter swaps and sponsorships, probably the 2 main strategies I have right now.
One question that I have about, and I should go to your website a little bit, is I know that you have a background in actual filmmaking, and from a perspective of a content creator, that I'm already at a really big, like a higher scale. I've built out all these things, but that is an area that I'm lacking. Video, branding, as far as like the visuals look. I know that just based off of your experience in working in the film industry, you would probably be able to bring a lot of creative talent that I just don't have the experience with on my own end. Is that something that you've really leaned into with this business? Are you really, like, vocalizing over and over again your experience with the film audience in your creation process?
I think I've struggled with that. Especially, you can see it like in how I use social media. On Twitter, I rarely talk about the film producing that I do, the projects that I'm working on, because I haven't yet cracked how to tie that into the transformation and the outcomes I'm trying to help people achieve as content creators. But if you go to my Instagram, it's almost all film production. I'll post a picture a day from set and I talk about it all the time. And so I haven't figured out how to make that one thing yet.
Yeah, I think that that's an interesting direction to potentially think into. As far as like lead generation, when it comes to that, you could potentially put together, like, here's a top 10 strategies that I've learned that will actually transform or translate into your content creation. So maybe it's really quick ways to do storytelling, or the ways that you can use lighting to achieve different types of emotions. What type of microphones are going to sound the best when people are just getting started? Those are just a couple of ideas of, maybe it's a PDF, and then starting to really showcase your experience in that industry to help you break out through the noise of other people who are doing something similar, because you do have a really impressive background, and I don't know if you've been building it up as much.
Nope, I have not. I'll be the first to say, no, I haven't done a good job with that. But I've felt at times the opportunity that I think exists there, as you're highlighting, is like there's a ton of people who are serving the same audience that I'm trying to serve: content creators, creative entrepreneurs, artists who want to like be successful in their business. But how many of them have the overlap or the Venn diagram of, and I've been a film producer for 12 years, right?
And with your experience with being a film producer, I think you have a lot of B2B sales experience that would come in handy for people who are specifically creating content in order to sell to businesses.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I ran a video production company for 9 years with a partner, and that's what we did. We did industrials, we did commercials, we did documentaries, we did hero homepage videos. Like, yeah, there's a decade of experience that I'm kind of just like put in a shoebox in the corner over there and haven't looked at for a few years as I've been building this Craftsman Creative thing. So this is ringing true.
Yeah. Another strategy that has worked very well for me is a quiz lead magnet. And I know this is a rocket science, but so just coming behind the scenes of what I've been doing for my own audience generation, we're huge with search engine optimization. I started my blog in 2019, and I realized that there were, because of my own experience of typing in like other jobs for teachers and nothing coming up, that's when I was really doing this deep dive into how do I build this business? And one of the ways that I did that is I just found a bunch of business podcasts. I went very hard. As a teacher, I'm kind of a lifelong learner and obsessed with continuing to grow and push myself. So hired some people to help me with search engine optimization, of just telling me all the different keywords that were probably going to be the easiest for me to rank for. And now I think we're getting about 1,500 clicks per day, something just off of Google search engine optimization alone. Using UTM tracking, it's one of the highest converters. Our website is one of the highest converters into our course sales. And also a quiz lead magnet, which I've created what career outside of the classroom is best for you. And there's 6 different answers that they could potentially get, but like 3 buckets of basically the same answer, but with like one little variable that turns it into 6 different answers. So with your resource, looking at that book that you've created, really looking for 5-figure creators who are looking to get into 6 figures, maybe that quiz is what is the area of your business that you should focus on now? Is it lead generation? Is it creating a new product? And creating a quiz as a lead magnet for that. And another idea for a lead magnet might even be what's like give away the first chapter of your book, in addition to just like your regular, sign up for this, but trying to get people to want to purchase your book as well as just a little bit more of a revenue bump.
Okay, my wheels are spinning because I know how to create all that stuff. So like I'm like, okay, that's really cool. And I have, as you've kind of already mentioned, like I have these resources I could point people to. I even have the first draft of my book I wrote in public, and so on the blog is like different, like every chapter of the book as I wrote it, and so it'd be really easy to take someone from that quiz and point them to more content. So do you generally recommend using a quiz to get people's email address and then serve them whatever content or recommendation that way?
Yeah, so the quiz it's just such a valuable freebie. And people want the reinforcement of someone saying, you're right, this is the right path that you're going down. So your audience as well, they're probably saying, shoot, do I buy a new video camera, or should I be starting a podcast, or am I even supposed to be focusing on an email list? The most important part when you're actually building the quiz, though, is not to get too far into the weeds of like every single answer changing paths. You're going to make it very strategic, where a lot of the answers probably don't even make an impact at all. And then 2 or 3 of the questions are very specifically going to help change their path. So for me, it's like, what are you looking for? Is it an increase in salary? Is it more work-life balance? That's not going to change the path, because most of the jobs that I'm actually going to recommend to them are going to give them all of those results. But then it's, when is your timeline? And then right off the bat, I have that tagged where I'm able to see, this person wants out of the classroom right now. I should probably change my email strategy for them. Where this person isn't actually sure they're ever going to leave. They might just be someone who's going to engage in free content, but I won't be sending them as many emails when they get on the list. And then there's a couple of the questions that segment them a lot.
Okay. I love all this. And I love that I get to edit these podcasts, because I want to be taking notes right now, but I know I'll have more time to do that when I go back and edit everything. Okay, brilliant. So more conversion of the audience that I'm already getting, utilizing some of the experience that I have as film producer to kind of help people see that I can help them with content, with types of content, whether it's audio based or video based, or okay.
Or B2B sales.
Or B2B sales. That's something I haven't really thought of, because I really see my audience as individual creative entrepreneurs like myself, and just kind of like clearing the path for them as I go through step by step this like confusing jungle of how do you do this successfully.
Well, I mean, what I've seen even in the same kind of similar industry is there are so many voice actors that are trying to create their own freelance hustle and then push themselves to instructional designers and course creators and companies that need that voiceover work. But they don't have the experience with B2B sales or how to market themselves. There are so many places that when you're actually pitching your services to a company. So I do career coaching services for a B2C type of customer. But if I created a course that was how to best onboard your new hires, how to actually create unique learning experiences for your new hires, just with my own personal experience, I could sell that course for $5,000, $10,000 with like hey, this is for everyone at your company. There's a lot of opportunity for B2B sales with content creators as well. And it's a lot more scalable based on people's actual profits. And you have that experience as well.
Yeah. One thing that Joe has harped on a few times is like, companies have a lot more money to spend than individuals do. So he's proven that with this podcast. We went out and raised, 45 grand in sponsorship revenue before we ever hit record. And I got a $12,000 check in the mail. It was like, how many books would I have to sell at $20 a pop to make $12,000?
But even like just looking at your past history as a producer, you could probably look at this room and tell me what vibes it's giving just on a visual like front on whether or not it's giving the right emotions if I do get on camera. And even on camera in a professional sense of when I do go on calls with companies and CEOs and the top talent from really large name companies, which is something that I have to do for my business. And it's something where I struggle. Even though I'm confident speaking, I do think that you have this level of expertise that you're not playing up.
Okay. This is amazing. Okay. So that's you even tied in some revenue opportunities there. So I feel like I've got a lot that I can tap into when I go back and rewatch this, as far as what can I add. Definitely going to add a quiz. That seems like really low hanging fruit for me to just, because building it using a type form or write message or something like that is just like, that's an hour. I can do that very easily. But to be able to give people more value right up front is huge. And then thinking about some of the courses that I'm making, some of the other educational products that I'm creating that can help people inside companies, or companies help their employees in different ways, especially on the video front. Okay, cool. I feel good there.
Yeah. So tell me a couple of the different top revenue sources that you're already really excited about that you have or that you're building.
Yeah, I'm super excited about sponsors. I know I just mentioned it, but Joe has like opened up a whole new world for me. And like, I can see from the products I already have in the pipeline and the events, like the challenge that I'm going to be doing in 2023 for creators, the podcast, if there's a season 2, season 3, if there's like, if I reboot my podcast, if there's so many opportunities for sponsors, and it's like a 6-figure revenue stream already that I can see. It's not like I have to figure out how to make $100,000 next year in sponsors. It's like, no, that's 25 there, and that's 15 there, and that's 20 there. It's like already there, and I hadn't even noticed it. So I'm very excited about sponsors. And honestly, I think that really expands into other areas of my business. So like growing the newsletter means that I'll make more from sponsors, and there's more opportunities for partnerships and collaborations and things like this podcast, which came about because I've been doing the work of a creative entrepreneur and saw an opportunity to fast track that by working with a mentor like Joe, who's done it, who has a bigger audience. So really collaborations, sponsorships. And I think there's a lot of untapped revenue in the products and courses and stuff I've already created. So I have a book, it sells like 2 a week. I have courses I've created that I have not sold a single seed of this year, mainly because I don't market them. But like, there's stuff I've created that's worth $20, $100, $150, $500 that I'm not marketing right now, and I don't really know why.
Tell me a couple of your courses.
Yeah. So when I started Craftsman Creative, the brand, it started as an online course platform right in April of 2020. And the first 2 courses on the site were mine. The first one was called Make Something, which is a course about how to do creative work at a professional level. So if you're someone that maybe has an artistic background or creative background, you've kind of let it lapse because you became a parent or you took a full-time job or whatever, like how do you actually do that? Or if you're a creator that wants to do this professionally, how do you need to shift your mindset from this is something I really want to do to this is something I'm taking seriously, and what are the systems and as far as like monetization and finances and marketing that you need to have it be a sustainable business, not just a side project or a hobby. The second course is called What to Do Now, which I made and put out for free right at, in April 2020 for just all of my creative artistic friends that were freaking out because all their gigs went away in 2020. So how do you build an email list? How do you have a website? How do you capture your audience and create new revenue streams so that you're not only reliant on, corporate gigs or events or merchandise that you can't sell in person now because there's no events happening.
Is that still free?
No, I changed it to a paid course, so it's no longer free. Okay.
So first thoughts, your quiz is going to lead to these different products.
Nice.
That's not you take a quiz, here's your results, buy this $200 product. But I use Samcart for my upsell funnel. And so basically my quiz leads to their very specific answers of so my 3 buckets that I go into are like working with children still. It's so like museum education jobs, curriculum writing jobs, or like working at nonprofits with children, and then working at ed tech companies, and then working in like learning and development corporate space. Like those are kind of the general areas that I get into. So they get to one of these 6 different landing pages that I was like, this is your answer. And then here's a $9 resource that is a very low hanging, like this is just one deep dive into like the getting started with careers outside of education. What is my like the first interaction they have with me? What questions do they usually have? And how can I put together this 40-page, really well thought out resource that helps answer all of their frequently asked questions and hesitations about moving forward, or tells them, actually, you should probably stay in teaching. This might not be a good fit for you, and gets that out of the way too. That $9 will, as they purchase it, actually upsell them to my $179 course, but with a limited time offer of if they purchase it in 20 minutes, because they may have found me and been like, I've been looking to get out and I didn't know this person existed. And that shows, I think our upsell gives us about $10K per month just off of the quiz lead magnet straight to sell.
Wow.
So you've already built something, and I would build things surrounding the products that you've already done.
Yeah.
As far as sponsorships go, I am not the best person to talk to. I do collaborate with a lot of companies, and basically the what we've been putting together is a jobs board so they can post positions, but every company that actually wants to partner with me makes my gut. Not every company, but a lot of the companies who are like, we see this audience and we want to put an offer in front of them makes my gut a little squirmish. And so I often am saying no to the opportunities if it's not them posting a job for the
Yeah.
position, the courses that people are trying to sell to them, or, $20,000 boot camps just never really feels like a good fit for my target audience. And so it's more important for me to protect that space. But I do constantly lean on Justin Moore, who I'm sure you probably have some sort of contact with on, hey, this might be a good fit, but how do I evaluate if it's a good fit? Because
Yep.
that's a new, I have a lot of passive sponsorships coming out to me, but I have worked in some capacity with sponsorships, especially on the podcast. I am on a podcast network, and there are some really great fits that we've been able to do. But just on the sponsorship front, I don't think that I'm the best person to talk to. I feel like you also are kind of not giving me a clear understanding of, do you have lead magnets like going straight to your book? How much are you trying to sell this book?
Not enough. um, it's so funny because, well, it's also like gut wrenching because I'm sitting here listening to myself and the answer I'm about to give you. And it's just like, oh, it's painful because I know better. But I just haven't done it. And so I don't have good lead magnets other than the welcome sequence that everybody goes through when they join my email list. And so right now I have a single way that everybody comes through. It's 5 days of like, here's who I am. Here's a bunch of value in every single email. So it's really focused around mindset and with little touches on finances and offers and marketing and that kind of stuff. But it's really focused around mindset because to me, that's the biggest win that I've ever experienced in my business, in my like trajectory to becoming a film producer, to becoming a content entrepreneur. Like it's all mindset shifts. And then like the tactics and the skills and all that, you can learn any of that stuff. Like there's a million people on the internet that'll sell you a product, that'll teach you how to do a skill. But if you don't make the mindset shift first, you're never going to get there. So rant over on that part. But the only way that I'm like promoting my products right now are at the end of that sequence, showing people, hey, here are things that I've created. And it's too general because I'm treating everybody as like a single customer as opposed to this person has a need in this area and this person's more ready than this person is, like you've been talking about. And so being able to segment that way seems like a huge opportunity to where I could then feed them different sequences or take them directly to a sales page or whatever it needs to be based on their interest and their how much desire they have. So I'm sheepishly like kicking myself because I know what I should be able to say to that question and
I
I have
think,
a bad answer.
I think you're beating yourself up unnecessarily here. You have a cohesive package of different offers that are all within this same, um, you have the same audience that you can feed these different offers to. And I think that that is huge because sometimes people are like, oh, I created a course on becoming an accountant. And then I also created a course on like how to start a home design blog. Or like, how do you get both people to like figure out which of those two very different offers are the right fit for them? I think that yours is really cohesive. So it will be easy for you to create something that's um, a little bit more passive as far as, this quiz lead magnet. Do you feel like Twitter is your biggest lead magnet because you've been putting all of your effort in there? And have you thought about expanding into Instagram? I just started on Twitter and Instagram is my obviously Instagram is where I shine. It's 100,000 followers, and Twitter, I think I have 900. And for me, I'm not sure if I see that many people actually clicking the link at the bottom of the thread in the same way as on Instagram. The more followers, there's just a one click and they're already going over to your offer. They're already on your page. Where Twitter, I think even that couple of clicks, like as a user experience, it's gonna take a little bit more effort. So have you thought about next year maybe potentially just focusing on Instagram or TikTok or a different platform as well?
Yes and no. So in the last episode with Joe, I talked about like how when I started this business, I created one of everything. Like I have a LinkedIn and I have an Instagram page for Craftsman Creative that probably has 5 posts on it and 2 followers. And I have a Facebook page and I have a blog and I have a podcast and I have all the different things. And that strategy, I think, held me back because I was trying to be everywhere at once without having a team or a system in place to be able to do that. And so I looked at where do I spend most of my time online and where am I seeing other people have the kind of success I want to have in this space. And I saw it most clearly on Twitter, where I was seeing people grow an audience of 5, 10, 20, 50, 100,000 followers in short order, within months or a year, and building up their email simultaneously. So you look at some of the creators I follow on Twitter, they're posting really in a systematic way and simultaneously growing their email list and their Twitter following. I'm like, that's what I want to do, because I don't just want a big Instagram following or a big Twitter following unless it leads to email growth and sales of product growth. And so I picked Twitter mainly because I saw potential there for me and the way that I like to be online. And that's where I enjoy spending my time. I actually kind of abhor being on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. So I just didn't enjoy it. So why try to force myself onto a platform into a situation where I was like, oh, I don't like this.
I definitely agree that you should follow what your passion is and don't do something just because someone else tells you to. So taking anything that comes after this with a grain of salt of please trust yourself. And if you absolutely hate it, I get that, because I have had people who have tried to push me into things that are just not a good fit for me and affect my mental health as far as a CEO, where I just feel really low. If your strategy is sponsorships, would it be just for Twitter and newsletters? And is that somewhere that you have heard other people have success with sponsorships with just your newsletter and Twitter, but without the ability for them to actually promote in a visual sense on Instagram? And this is probably a question for someone else, but it's something to think about for your long-term plan.
Yeah, I haven't thought through like taking sponsorship revenue for my social media content or to be given access to my social media following. It's very much been centered around the newsletter and the other projects that I have. So like this podcast is a perfect example. We got 3 sponsors. Like that's a great fix. We can talk about them in every single episode. And then I'm going to be delivering other things on top of that, how I use these apps in my day-to-day business. I have an event that I'm coming up with in January that starts in January. And that will have sponsors attached because they want to be involved and be in front of that same audience. And this other project that I'm building right now, this indie film budgets, you may have heard me talk about that in another episode, but that's another project where I'm from day one going after sponsors as I'm building the thing, because I want there to be sponsorship revenue there. So I don't see myself, I'm going to use this term and I don't mean it offensively or anything, but like, I don't see myself as an influencer. So the idea of like, hey, I'll post about you on Instagram is not a thing that I'm really super interested in, but maybe I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm taking it to mean something else. So
I absolutely get that. And I struggle with the fact that I do have to be on camera and that I do Instagram videos, because it's not something that I always enjoy. Sometimes the process of what I'm creating, like I just created a video of a really helpful tutorial of like how to write a resume, and I felt good about putting it out and it's going kind of viral. That I felt like, oh, I'm really teaching something. You don't see a lot of this. But then I do also do the influencer thing where I'm pointing at bubbles and I feel a little cringy. For me, I just have to say this because I want you to do what is best for you, but also for the people who are listening, I have to be transparent about pushing back a little bit on Twitter being the one where you saw the most growth for like a general assumption that you made, because I did get from 40,000 Instagram followers to over 100K in 1 year. So just based on, we're very niche. I've been constantly putting out really great information and we've really kind of cracked this code. But I also do have a full-time former teacher who runs my marketing for me. So that's to be transparent about how much effort that takes, but it is 100% possible. So if people are listening and Instagram feels like a better fit for them, it 100% is a possibility.
I'm really glad you said that, because I don't want to seem like I'm down on Instagram just because I personally don't enjoy being on there. So I'm curious if I can get a little technical on how you use your Instagram to get people onto your email list. Is that via a link in bio type thing, or are you using Reels or stories to like put a link there to drive people to different offers or different pages? Like, how are you actually using Instagram as a social media platform to get people that discover you there onto a platform that you own, like your email list?
Yeah. So Instagram, we have created just such an incredible community that I'm so grateful for. And basically, our Instagram in general is success stories of people that I've helped, because we have thousands of people that have transferred from being a teacher into a different position, and they want to share their story of what they do now so that other people can learn. And so we're posting former teacher testimonials of just like, hey, this is a former teacher and now they work as an X. And then the comment section is how, or I don't know what job I can do. And then we're in that comment section and we're saying, hey, we have a quiz in the bio that you can take if you want to find a new job outside of the classroom, or they want to learn a little bit more about a sales position. And so we say, hey, we have this podcast episode specifically on sales, links in the bio. We do a deep dive into that question that you have. There's just so many opportunities for us to answer questions with helpful free resources that we've created strategically on all of their frequently asked questions, which all lead to some sort of lead magnet for me. So the podcast, obviously, we advertise the free quiz on the podcast, the blogs that we refer them to when they say, well, I'm a special education teacher. And we're like, actually, we just created a blog about the top 5 jobs for former special education teachers on how they can they can leverage their unique experience into different positions where they still work with people with special needs. That link is in our bio. And then the free career quiz is right there on that page as well. In addition to, about once a week, we just put the quiz link in our stories. And it has worked really, really well, just based on how many different opportunities we see to create free resources that don't give everything away, but are still really helpful that we're answering. And people continue to send other people like, hey, they'll answer this question. Especially we get DMs nonstop from people who don't even want to leave comments.
Okay, you're blowing my mind a little bit here. I love all of that, because I've struggled mentally with how do you build like an actual community of people on Instagram, because there's not the same sort of like commenting and retweeting and algorithmic discovery of posts as there is on other platforms. But then also, just like getting how do you craft and like consciously go after audience growth? Because I have tried that in the past and was unsuccessful. I probably tried it for too short of a time. But like, what are the tenets or the principles that you're looking at as like, and you're teaching to the people in your business about like, this is how we reach X new people every single week?
Well, so The marketing director that I have as a former teacher, she is the sharpest, most talented, and dives into courses on TikTok and courses on Instagram and does all of that. So there are things that she just brings to the table that we don't even discuss. I just kind of help, like, give her the ability to make some decisions as far as what she thinks is going to work. But what we have seen working for audience building on Instagram that's been really successful is just a variety of like 5 different similar types of posts. And one of them is just a screenshot of someone sending us a screenshot with text on it. We found that it's a little counterintuitive. Instagram is really meant to be, visually appealing, really crafted, like stylistic photos was kind of what it was supposed to be before, but our audience really loves to read. So if it's this like message that I received that's just really wordy, and especially something that's saying, hey, I left because of this specific reason. These are the like issues that I had to overcome, and this is how I overcame them. And this is the resource that I used of yours that was really super helpful. And I just want to say thank you. This is my new job title. When they lay out everything and we just ask them for their permission to share that screenshot, we put it in, depending on what they say, we'll see hundreds, sometimes thousands of people just sharing those screenshots. Really easy for us to produce that content because people see those screenshots and then they want to send us their success stories or their unique situation. We're just using that because it's sharing their voices. No one wants to hear my voice over and over and over again. I have a very specific story. I left when I was in my early 30s, and this is the role that I did. But there are women who are later on in their career that are single moms. There are people who were really excited about getting like specifically into museum education. We have people who really wanted to do something that was politically active, and every single one of these stories is going to resonate with the audience in a different way. And that's what makes them share it. In addition to like just the kind of graphics that we create make them feel heard. So it's something very specific, like what they're really struggling with internally and don't think that other people understand about them. Something like, it's okay to leave teaching, like, even if you're a really good teacher. It's okay to leave teaching even if you love your students. Like, there are so many people struggling with these very unique thoughts of, I love this job, I love these students, but I still want to leave. Is that okay? And just verbalizing that, putting it in a meme, they're more likely to share it, and more people are starting to come based on that. And then we found reels are really helpful. So I do get on camera and I do reels a lot, but also building up that community piece. If you looked at my Instagram right now, I think I'm probably 5% of the pictures or the videos that you'll see on there. It's the rest of it is other people sharing their stories and their success and their photos on there. And that builds that sense of community. And we're also starting to get reels, day in the life videos from former teachers who are excited just to kind of share a little bit about the day-to-day operations. And that always leads to, sometimes 50 questions that all say, how do I do this? I want to achieve these types of results. And I'm like, oh, well, we have all these free resources to help you. Or if they have really big questions like, I don't know if I should leave, I'm close to retirement age. How is this going to impact my pension? We've created something that's like, here's a free video that'll walk you through where you are on the salary schedule and how it will impact your pension, because I don't want everybody to see this and think it's a good idea without thinking of, potential roadblocks. And that also builds trust, where they're like, it's not someone saying, quit your job, you're going to, replace your income in 3 weeks. All you have to do is buy this boot camp. It's like, hey, not everyone should leave. Here's the pros and cons, and here's free resources to help with that. So they feel more comfortable giving this community to other teachers as well, because they see that and it's built that honest trust between one another.
Wow, that feels like a masterclass right there. I really appreciate you sharing all of that. And I'm going to just put it out right now. If anyone listening to this wants to manage my crafts and creative Instagram next year, reach
You
out.
would do it? Okay. So
I would
let's
do it
see.
if
Let's see
I
what
had
that
someone
looks.
helping with it, because
Let's see what that looks like with an introvert that doesn't want to be on camera. And I'm sorry if I classified you as an introvert and that's not accurate. But so what if you share other stories of people that took 5 figures, that they were stuck, and they just give the one thing that helped them get to the next level? Here's my one takeaway. And then that leads to your quiz.
Yep. That excites me. Being able to use a platform as a way to shine a light on other people who have succeeded, especially if they've used the principles and products that I've created for them, that feels really natural and really good, as opposed to I'm just going to create content and hope that people show up. Like, that hope strategy is where I've been stuck with Instagram because I didn't have any clarity there. But like the 5 minutes you just spoke about how you use it and how you're actually using it to help people. Because to me, that's what I love about Twitter, is I can get comments and right away respond, and I directly am helping people, and it turns into a DM, and it turns into a join my email list, and it turns into I mean, this month alone, a coaching client, a new member of my community, that's $199 a year. Like, I can track conversations on Twitter directly to revenue within a short period of time. I haven't yet experienced that on Instagram, but it's probably because I haven't had a good strategy. So thank you. So I think we're at the end of our hour, and I feel like I want to talk to you much, much more about all the incredible knowledge you have in this space. But in the interest of time, where can people go to connect with you, to find out what you're working on, to learn from you, whether they're a teacher or whether they're a content creator?
So they can lurk on my Instagram at Teacher Career Coach, but I will say, most likely, it's not going to be the content that you're specifically looking for, unless you are happening to do a career pivot from one job to the other that is similar to teaching. But always happy to connect with people there, or they can check out the Teacher Career Coach podcast and work on some of my podcast episodes there.
Awesome. I think there's probably value to be found just by seeing how you actually operate your Instagram in this space. So I'm going to do that. Even though I'm not your target audience, I think there's a ton I'm going to learn from you just by seeing how you're operating over there. So thank you so much, Daphne, for taking the time. Special thanks again to our incredible sponsors. We've got Lulu, we've got StreamYard, and we've got ConvertKit, and they have just been an incredible support to make this podcast happen. So thank you to them. Go check out their websites to learn more about how they can help support your content entrepreneur business. And we will see you in the next episode. Thanks,
Awesome.
Daphne.
Thank you so much, Darren.
Hey creators, that's it for today's episode, and another special thanks to our sponsors Lulu, ConvertKit, and StreamYard for making this season of the 10K Creator possible. Now you can find links and show notes at 10kcreatorshow.com, and every week we'll have different giveaways for people who share the show with their friends and audiences, so head over to 10kcreatorshow.com to learn more. If you're listening for the first time, be sure to subscribe to the Content Inc. podcast, as this show will be on the Content Inc. feed each week. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.